This is Tom Barnhart from European Business Services Association. I'm here today with Martin Kikstein from Roche in Budapest, running the SSE there. And we wanted to talk a bit about what Roche is doing in Hungary, but also you won the award, I think 1 month ago, for the top SSE in Hungary. So tell us a little bit about what you think were the reasons the jury would have selected and chosen Roche, and also before that, give us a bit of background about yourself, what you've been doing, and your kind of career track, and how you got to Budapest.
Great, thank you very much. Nice to meet you again, Tom. And
yes.
Indeed, very happy about winning this award. Couple of words about myself. So I'm in Budapest not so long now. I started in January this role as GM for Roche Services and Solutions here in EMEA. And before that, I was actually for 5 years in Asia Pacific. So I was based in Kuala Lumpur, and I was building up a new services organization for Roche because we didn't have one before for Roche in Asia Pacific. So we cover there now 17 countries, and I was building this up over the last 5 years. So when I was leaving, we were around 750. So I still remember when I was the first one, and then when I left, it was a great experience. And yeah, I'm 10 years with Roche. Before that, I was 13 years in IBM, and now I'm German originally, so I'm very happy to be back in Europe now as well, and to be part of this organization. So yeah, let me talk a little bit about this award. So I said, very excited about this, and I think some of the, from my perspective, differentiators we are having is, on one hand side, in the last couple of years, we really focused a lot on our people. You know, I firmly believe that the business services industry is really about people, right? And it's a people business, and if we are not able to engage our people and keep our people, then we will not be successful in the long run. So this is why we heavily invested, you know, into programs to engage our people. We have loyalty programs implemented. We have paternity leave implemented, and a lot of other things that really should help as well to engage the organization. Not only that, and much more. But I think the other big differentiator is really that we embark as well into services or lines of services which are not so typical, I would say, right? So I mean, we have to
give me example. Give me some examples of that, because I think of SSE or GBS being, you know, your F&A, your ops, your ITO. Give us some examples of what else you guys are doing.
Yeah. So for instance, if you think about the HR area, what we are doing there is as well, we build up business partnering services here for the whole of EMEA. So you know, usually you have a business partner sitting in the countries, but we build now advisory business partners that are covering you know, the whole of Europe, Middle East, and Africa here. And I think that's a major milestone of doing something completely new in this area from a services organization. But then, as well as we are a pharma organization, we started to look now as well into regulatory submission. So for new medicine, but as well for, you know, changes of existing drugs. There's a lot of, you know, work, documentary and paperwork to be done for that, and we are starting to support this as well now. It's a smaller team of 13 people at the moment, but that's definitely a growing area. So again, something you know, you typically don't find there. Another area is as well digital publishing. You know, the whole you know, for instance, www.roche.com is managed out of Budapest now since beginning of the year. We manage as well the Facebook and the Instagram page of Roche from here. So I think these are kind of the major things which are really differentiate, I would say.
Yeah, that was one thing that stood out, that kind of the graphic or the digital side of things. That's not typically done in a lot of the SSEs that I've seen. So yeah, quite interesting. Yeah. And tell us some more about the size and people size in terms of the organization and the growth rate, in terms of how big you guys are, let's say a year ago, or let's say December 31st, and where you're going towards the end of this year and next year. And talk a bit about as well the onboarding virtually, which has to be an issue, or that's what's happening these days, of course. And also office space, and what's your take on the whole remote working? How do you guys look at that?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. So yeah, I mean, in terms of size, beginning of the year when I was joining, we were around almost 1,200 employees. I think we are now more than 1,300, but the outlook for the end of the year is that we are around 1,500. So it's a significant growth, and by end of this year, we don't think as well, as well in the next year we will have growth for sure. So we have not finished our growth; it's still continuing. We don't know the end game yet, but I think we are still growing a lot. And I think it was massive, the number of people we have onboarded over the last year virtually. I mean, that was a couple of hundred people really, and we all would have never thought, right, that it's possible. But we really found a way of shipping then the laptop to the people and having kind of instructions what they need to do in order to get up and running, and it worked pretty well. I think that still important that. I firmly believe as well we should get people back to the office after this pandemic, because one differentiator we have as a company, I believe, but I think every company has its own culture as well, right?
Yes,
and in order to people that they get a grasp really of the culture, it's a little bit more difficult to do this virtual. So we really talk as well about how do we get people back in the office to grasp the culture and to engage the people as well.
I was speaking a few days ago to someone in Slovakia, and they said that they're up to 25% allowable back in the office. Where are you guys in that? Are you sort of some number percentage back, or can you be back?
I mean, we started now this week to say that we can have 120 people back, so that's a little bit less than 10%. So we start now slowly to open it up. Then we give it 2 weeks to see, how do the numbers in the country and develop here in Hungary. And
let me ask you this: if you have 120 people that could be in the office, how many were there today?
I think today it's around 70. So it's not, I think people are on one hand side still
70. Yeah. Okay. The guy I spoke to last week he had 8 people in the office, so 70 is pretty good.
Okay. Yeah. No, but I think it's, I think it's as well a mixed bag there. Some people are really looking forward to come back because they might have private situations. I don't expect, for sure after this pandemic we will not have 100. I think it will be never happening that we have 100% of everyone back in the office, right? So we want to be very, very flexible. I mean, we just announced a couple of weeks before that, working from home, we will, you can work 3 days a week or 4 days a week from home. We expect that probably once a week minimum you should come back to the office, which I think is important. But we really want to be as flexible as possible. This 1 year plus, didn't show us, well, there's not really a reason to force people back every day to the office.
Of course. I was speaking to someone from West Coast US yesterday, a big tech company, and they're going to start insisting that their employees are back in the office in September. And a lot of the guys are protesting because they've been in Hawaii and Mexico, and they're hanging out, working there. They don't want to be forced to come back to San Francisco. Interesting.
No. And we have as well, and obviously as well, that many people, they moved out of Budapest. I mean, they went to their families, live in the family houses, and then I think it's an interesting development anyways for the whole world, right? How this changes as well cities probably over the long run, and the industry of office buildings. I think that will be really a different scenario in a couple of years probably.
Absolutely. So go a bit more into the operations and details of what you guys are planning for the rest of this year. And in terms of your HQ, are they quite excited and engaged with the GBS in Budapest? They're sending you more types of services. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. So I think on one hand side, what we have is that Roche is currently at on an agile journey, I would say. So we want to bring in as well more agile ways of working. And I mean, in the services sector, I believe it's very much first about the agile mindset, right? So it doesn't need to be always agile structures. But of course, if you want to solve a problem or implement something new, even in the services industry, I think we can really practice as well agility and agile methodologies much more. But with these changes we have on a global scale, I think business services plays a much bigger role, right? So we have a lot of discussions with various different functions that are interested to really see are there areas where we can support them. So I made this example of this regulatory submissions. I mean, I think probably 2 years ago, there wasn't a big appetite of regulatory people to think of a business services organization. So I think it's opening up, and I think as well working more in networks, and that you see this business services organization not as a separate entity, but that you say it's part of a agile ecosystem, and you can still utilize the people there. That makes definitely a difference as well, I believe. So I think there's a lot of appetite. It's more like that we need to see as well what can we manage and what can't be managed, because we have already a significant growth. And then we need to make sure that we are successful with everything that we are taking over. But just, if we think about finance, well, we have a finance ambition globally where we say we want to perform approximately 80% of the work of finance in our business services organizations. And at the moment we are, depending who you ask, we are probably between 30 and 50%. I think even there will be significantly more coming. So
yeah, that's a lot. That's still a big move to get to that number, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Let's talk about RPA process automation, hot topic everywhere in the world, buzzwords as well. But tell us a bit about what you guys are doing in that space and other projects you mentioned earlier to me as well.
Yeah, I think the big play we are having at the moment is really our planned S4 implementation, S4HANA, SAP S4HANA implementation. That's a multi-year project, but I think it will be very, very helpful for us as well in terms of automating processes and of course as well harmonizing processes. I mean, we currently have several different SAP instances, and then the harmonization has its limit with that. So we are really, we want to have one global template and roll this out. As I said, it's a multi-year project, but this means as well, we choose our battles, if you want, so in terms of automation and AI at the moment, because on one hand side this large project is coming, but it's as well a multi-year project. So we still experiment at the moment, I would say, with artificial intelligence and robotics, and but we don't have huge major programs there yet at the moment, but definitely a very interesting one for us as well.
And are you all using external vendors like, I don't know, Blue Prism, UiPath, or any of this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we have an internal continuous improvement team that is as well taking care of automation, and they utilize many of these different softwares that are on the markets, and we're really, as I said, experimenting with that as well, where we can go as well bigger scale. I mean, on balance sheet reconciliation, for instance, we do some of these experiments to see how can artificial intelligence and robotics help with that, with the matching of things, and other things, intercompany invoices and things like that. We are experimenting, and there we have this central group that is as well part of the business services organization, by the way, to help us to drive that.
Okay, and let's begin to wrap up a little bit, but let me ask you this: for your crystal ball, go 3-4 years out, Roche, Hungary, what would it look like in the ideal world, and how you best visualize it? And then the last point or question is, what did I not ask you? So throw in there whatever you thought I left out as a question, but please start with that first crystal ball projection.
Yeah. So first of all, I think that we have here a pretty big office, right? It's like we have an office we just moved into that, by the way, in
so funny.
It was never built up. And I think with our growth, it will be probably beyond this 1,500. I hope to see more people in the office, but I think we will be a much more networked organization, right? Again, we will not have everyone in the office. But I think we will be much more interconnected with our business partners and with our business, right? I feel sometimes that the services industry and the shared services are sometimes a little bit, an object that is a little bit outside of the core business.
Yes.
And I hope, and what we are driving for is as well to get a little bit more connected and kind of really being seen as one ecosystem and one network that is working together. And I think we go more towards that.
Yeah,
So
well, even one SSC director I spoke to, I guess, a couple of weeks ago, and he said they don't even want to call themselves that anymore because they're trying to simply be fully integrated with the organization.
Yeah.
And he thinks it's becoming that way. So, stop calling me an SSC. We're just the name of our company, right?
Yeah.
So interesting kind of concept there.
And I think that some even think like it's almost like an external party, right? And it's not. And I think that's the positive thing where I really see we will be much more embedded in the business. So looking forward to that. And yes, I think there will be much more service lines we are working on, right? I think there might be things we are not even thinking about today.
For example, what could it be? I mean, can you guys go more middle office or more? Go ahead.
It could be even, if you think about research and development of a pharma business, aren't there as well areas where business services can help? I'm sure, I don't know what exactly it could be, but I'm pretty sure there are as well areas we could work on. So I'm excited about these new opportunities, definitely as well.
Yeah, well, Hungary, of course, is very strong on the R&D side too. I think there's a big embedded talent pool in Hungary for pharma research as well. So the interesting, yeah.
Right.
Okay, well, good. So we'll check back in with you, Martin, maybe end of the year and see what else has happened. See how much of your crystal ball has been correct.
Yes,
and
let's do that.
see what's changed. And I hope to physically meet you in Warsaw or in Budapest sometime soon. And it'll be fun to catch up with you.
Definitely. Look forward to that. Thanks for the conversation.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks for the time. See you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.